Call the meeting order, rise for the pledge of allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Morning, everyone. Welcome to the May 1st Broadwater County Commissioners meeting.
March. Don't rush.
March?
Yeah, Mark.
Damn. Missed 2 months already. Felt like spring out there. March 1st meeting. We'll open the meeting up with public comment. I will, Tim and ma'am, you need to put masks on. There is a county policy in county buildings that masks will be worn.
Okay, Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I would like to address that with public comment if I can. May.
Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission, Tim Ravendall. As normal, I wear two hats. One is a citizen of Broadwater County taxpayer. The other is as a journalist for Conservative News from Montana. And I am here this morning to ask you a couple of questions in relation to your policy here. It is not on the agenda, so we are in proper order here to bring this up as you stated. Mr. Chairman and members of the Commission, just this morning is when I first received a copy of your policy. It was written up on February 16th, according to this document, 2021. And if I look back at what we had going on, the minutes for the 22nd meeting of February was where Commissioner Folkford moved to approve the mask use policy for the courthouse and the county buildings. The motion was seconded by Commissioner Randolph and carried. So those minutes, as of my discussions with our county attorney, Corey Swanson, at about 4 o'clock Friday afternoon, is those minutes have not yet been adopted and or approved. But here's the point. On that particular aspect, the decision of the county to mandate masks within county buildings and as the policy states. What we have here is a situation where this was brought up back almost a year ago now, where we do not have a legal foundation for a mask mandate in Broadwater County. And I say that because just most recently, our county attorney has restated the fact that the sheriff nor the county attorney has a foundation of law to enforce masks within Broadwater County. Now, the county buildings are owned by we the people. They are public. They are not provisions of trespass laws under private property. So therefore, I will just say, for most certainly, this policy is really not legally founded. And at your last health board meeting, I specifically asked for a written legal foundation for adopting this policy. I gave a card to our county attorney. I gave a card to the chair of the board. I gave a card to Commissioner Folkford, and I asked specifically that as soon as possible, get me that legal foundation. As of this moment, I have not received anything on that. Okay, so I asked the board that if you have a policy, then it must be, according to my understanding and experience in government, must be founded in the Constitution. And if my constitutional rights are compromised by a policy or a rule, then there is no reason for that policy to be in effect without going through the proper due process afforded to the citizens. Again, let's go one more step. Today's agenda, which kind of comes back to that minutes on the 22nd. The agenda does not clearly state what is really happening within the county. And I will just say, this policy adopted by the county commissioners needs to be validated with law. That's my position here today, folks. Because if it's not, where do the rights of the citizens really come in on the back seat here? We cannot continue down this road based on fear and assumption. We just can't. And I have been exposed to a lot of this, both at the legislature personally and basically across the country here with a lot of people. And this is the founding position that I want to make sure I make clear here this morning in this public comment period. I know I've exceeded my time normally allowed here, and I appreciate your indulgence, but please, I would like to make sure that I ask specifically, what is that legal foundation for adopting a policy that violates my rights? And not just my rights, but the rights of every citizen in this county. And with that said, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, I will just say that in the event that this is really, it's almost like a fast track of last minute, because following the legislature and following what's going on here with our local government, today we have House Bill 121 going for a third reading. We also have today going for the second reading House Bill 501. Those two bills carry a lot of influence on what we're talking about right here in public comment, as well as what's on your agenda for the rest of this meeting today. It's very important that we don't put the cart before the horse like's been done in the past here in Broadwater County, and I implore upon all of you to take really seriously that concern and act appropriately. With that, I again thank you for your time this morning.
I would like to address this also, please.
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Here's a quote.
Your name,
Your
please.
name.
Oh, sorry, Gina Satterfield. I apologize. When you're in the middle of an outbreak, wearing a mask might make people feel a little bit better, and it might even block a droplet, but it is not providing the perfect protection that people think that it is. And often, they are unintended consequences. People keep fiddling with their mask and they keep touching their face, said Fauci at that time. This surfaced as a video, CBS News, 60 Minutes, okay, that their chief medical correspondent for CBS was interviewing him. Now, we know that doctors are reporting an increased number of bacterial pneumonia infections in people wearing masks. In 2008, Fauci and his colleagues warned that bacterial pneumonia infections were the predominant killer in the 1918 influenza pandemic. They wrote a paper, and the paper is titled, Predominant Role of Bacterial Pneumonia as a Cause of Death in the Pandemic Influenza, Implications for Pandemic Influenza Preparedness. The majority, this is from their paper, the majority of the deaths in the 1918 likely resulted directly from secondary bacterial pneumonia caused by common upper respiratory tract bacteria. Although, and this is from 1918, I guess a paper that they took some information from back in 1918, that there was almost a universal agreement among experts that deaths were virtually never caused by the unidentified etiologic agent itself, but resulted directly from severe secondary pneumonia. Experts believe that most patients would have recovered without this secondary bacterial pneumonia. So, if we're going to be talking about the money that's going to be flowing in, and that you're not health experts, which you said you're not, the other day at the other meeting, with the health board, then I gotta bring this to your attention. So, by practicing Fauciism, he is a blatant liar. I mean, this is basically what you're practicing is Fauciism, I call it that, or Munchausen syndrome by proxy. As you're masquerading, you're using this as a mask to dictate medical mandated policy. Okay? You're acting as caretakers, and you're taking the advice of a wacko. And he is sitting here talking out of two sides of his mouth, saying, oh, wear the mask now. Don't wear the mask. Oh, it makes you feel better. This is mental. So acting as mental health people at this board is crazy. And I look at it this way. All the parents in this county should be suing, knowing this information. I hope they know it. I'm going to get this information out here. They should be suing you people for allowing this to happen. Knowing this information now, how much money you're going to ask for. The parents should be suing this and the school board for putting their children at risk every day. Now, we did some testing with a CO2 monitor, okay? And I can tell you in this room, it varies every time you open up the door. Every time it opens up the door, you might be a little cooler, but by God, you're getting some oxygen. And you could say that these doctors, when they're doing surgery, that, they wear them all the time. They're also in a sterilized environment. They have extra oxygen airflow into those rooms. We don't have that. They also do not touch their masks, and they change them all the time. So you're telling me, or looking at your desk, or writing whatever you're writing, that your oxygen supply is adequate? No, it is not. It doesn't only cause this. You know you're not getting, they know, through experiments all over the world, that you're not getting significant amount of oxygen, arterial oxygen. It blocks it. So you're causing major health issues. Not just pneumonia, but whether your kidneys can take care of this, whether your heart can handle it, your lungs are definitely not going to be able to handle it. What other symptoms? What other problems? Mental? You seen a suicide rate go up with these kids? This is the reason why not only am I not going to wear your mask ever, but I'm going to sound it loud and clear what you are doing and what you are practicing, which is Munchausen syndrome by proxy. You know this information. If I'm a hairdresser, not anything bright, but by God, I can go do the research. Go do the research. Quit pimping this Fauciism. It's disgusting, and it's time to be done. Enough is enough. And before you ask for any more money today for grants, we're watching you. Oh, I would love to do a test for you too. I have a model here. She'll put the mask on. We'll run that CO2 meter with what the CDC is saying. Wear a double mask. Wear your little blue mask over there, medical mask, and then put a mask that has 2 layers, tightly woven cotton. Really? Why don't you just put a plastic bag over your head and get it over with?
Any other public comment?
Let me speak. A couple things, not to get in a conversation about the Constitution and constitutional rights. But as far as I know, under the 32 amendments of the Constitution, Tim, nowhere in there does it say that a policy in masks is constitutional. Is there? Now, under the Constitution, Tim, you have a right to participate. You have a right to be heard. Whether or not you have a mask on while you sit in a chair Doesn't violate your right to participate. Doesn't violate your right to be heard. Both of you have been heard. Both of you have had the opportunity to speak. So help me out. When I said I don't have time to enforce this, exactly what I mean. I'm the only person in my office today. And guess where I'm at? Over here arguing with people on masks. He's right. There's not a law. And I've said this a million times. But there's also this. And let's go back to March of 2020, where the CDC, and as Ms. Satterfield said, Dr. Fauci in his two-sided talk, he's done it time and time again. The requirements were that if you couldn't visualize social distancing, which we described as 6 feet or more, that a mask was required, right? Governor Bullock did the same thing. If you can't get 6 feet apart, wear a mask. Well, we've got both. We've got 6 foot of spacing in this room, and we have masks on. So I don't know what I can necessarily do in the aspect is what Mr. Ravendall said. Trespassing on a public building doesn't work unless I'm wrong. But as far as I know, anybody who pays taxes is part owner of a county building. Okay? So the right to remain, now we have a little issue with disorderly conduct, but I don't necessarily know if trespassing, enter and remain unlawfully with the intent, or enter and remain unlawfully is what the statute says, 45-6-101. I don't think we have, or it's 201, excuse me. I don't think we have that because it is a public building. So how do you take enter and remain unlawfully? Okay? Now, the policy, I don't have a clue, but I don't have the ability to enforce it. Everybody knows I don't have the ability to enforce it. But I also don't want to get in a debacle and a discussion about the constitutionality of a policy, how people see it. Now, in my mind, this is a request by the county commission to please, for the safety of the staff so we can continue to do business, wear a mask. I think that's a simple request. Was it or was it not?
That's correct.
Okay. Because the fact of the matter is, if no one wants to wear a mask, then they can technically say, well, we're going to adjourn the meeting and we're not going to do any business. And then guess what? Nothing's getting done. That means claims aren't being paid. That means whoever we owe money to isn't getting paid because we can't get to it. Right? So that's not good for small business owners and big business owners across the state or across this county. So we have to come with a happy medium. Right? I'm looking at you, Tim, as a conversation.
I understand that, sir. And
Okay.
I will respond to your
Okay.
point.
So you tell me how we're going to fix this. Because I'm going to stop you real quick, though. I'm going to make one more point, Tim. And you're a Second Amendment guy, right? Mm-hmm. Okay? The judges have put an order out, no firearms inside the courthouse. So you're going to go argue with them?
Pardon me?
The judges. You can't carry a firearm in the courthouse.
Okay, that's new.
Now, it's been out for, what, a week and a half?
Okay, so technically it's new.
Yeah.
And so,
So-
no, I would not disobey that law.
It's just, it's an order from the judge.
Under what law?
Well, I don't know. The judges wrote it. So I'm assuming the district court judge would have an understanding,
Well,
right?
he would have to base his decision on law.
Well, I'm sure they did. But you still can't carry a firearm in there, right? So I guess I'm asking you this, Tim, is do you have the desire to go and argue with the district judges about carrying a firearm in the courthouse? Or would you just approve and say, yep, district court judge, who by state law is deemed as a reasonable person?
On that same note, back to what my discussion earlier with the county commission on the mask thing.
I get it.
We have legislative action that's going through the process, and
But
being
it's-
signed by our governor, that is making sure that that provision of our Second Amendment rights is protected.
Okay,
So,
the Second Amendment. Okay,
again,
so are we
it's
talking
the
about,
law.
are we talking about masks, or are we talking about the Second Amendment now?
Well, you moved it to Second
Okay, I
Amendment.
did, but you brought it back to mass, okay?
Okay.
So there's nothing in the Constitution about mass, right?
No,
No, we can agree on that.
we agree on that.
Okay. Is there anything in state law about mass? Because when the law was revamped in 1972, when we plagiarized Illinois law, I don't think even there was a discussion about mass in that back then. Is that correct?
That is correct. You and I
Okay.
had that discussion for
Okay.
a couple hours the last time this
Okay.
came up here in Broadwater.
So my point that I'm getting at, okay, you do have a constitutional right under the state and the United States Constitution to participate. True or false?
First Amendment rights as well as Montana law.
Absolutely. right? It's Title II, was it Title II, Section 12? Is that right? No, I might be mixed up on that one.
Article 2, sections 8 and 9.
8 and 9, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, been dealing with legislation as well, okay? So, have you had a right to participate?
It's been infringed on
By which component?
by the local government,
Okay, but you just stood here and talked for over 5 minutes,
and right after threatened and with the policy.
okay? It's a request, Tim. It's just a
I
request.
understand requests and responsibility, sir,
Okay.
comes into play here.
Okay, and I understand,
definitely.
and I understand that as well, okay? But like I said, we all know I have plenty of things to do other than sit over here and
Absolutely.
argue this, okay? If you want to be in the room, they ask you to wear a mask, okay? I would also say this, is that we have to figure out and define what it is that we want to do. Because exactly as you said, Dr. Fauci's been 7 ways to Sunday all over the place, okay? We can all agree with that, and if you don't agree with it, then you're not paying attention to what he's saying, okay?
Absolutely.
Because as you quote, I think he is a nut, okay? But that's not my position, okay? Keep putting him in that spot, okay? Every president's done it since Bush, or since Reagan, so they've picked it. But the fact of the matter is I need to be able to do the job that you elected me to do, and that's not to sit over here and argue about policy, right?
And enforcing the laws of Montana.
Okay, and
That's your job.
yes. This is not a law, okay? This
And
is a
so-
request by the elected Board of County Commissioners. They're elected by the people, for the people, right? Okay. It's just a policy, okay? I don't think this is the sword we need to die on this particular hillside today.
And I've had that discussion not only with you, sir, but with the commissioners for the past 12 years here on policy and making sure that under Article 2, Sections 8 and 9, we the people, as well as my First Amendment rights under the First Amendment right to freedom of press, freedom of speech, also have to play into everything that happens within this local government entity under the guise of the officials which are elected by the people. And it comes down to, I totally agree, sir, putting this on the backs of the sheriff and the county attorney without a law that is enforceable is really the compromise that we need to make. If it's not a law enforceable, then it
But-
shouldn't be here infringing on my rights.
Okay. But what rights being violated?
I was thrown
Okay,
out of
so-
the courthouse.
so let's-
I was thrown out of this meeting. I was escorted out of the courthouse by the undersheriff for not complying with a policy.
That was a while ago.
And we're still here
Okay.
today. I
Well,
was threatened to get relieved with
Okay,
the policy.
so, but help me out here, Tim, okay?
I'm trying, sir.
Okay, help me out here. If the county commissioners say we want you to wear a mask so we can keep the doors open, how many people in this room, in this county, lost their ever-loving mind when the courthouse was closed? When I will go back to the primary election, and I had to stand outside because people were upset because they couldn't get in the courthouse. Why couldn't they get in the courthouse? Because of COVID had the courthouse shut down. People were sick, offices were closed. And people called and screamed and yelled at me because their constitutional right, wherever that is, I don't know, the Bill of Rights is 1 through 10, right? And 1 through 8 just apply to the person, 9 and 10 go to what the government can't do. And I don't remember anywhere in 9 and 10 says that it's the constitutional right for a person to drop a ballot in a box. Okay? But God, I had to spend all my time dealing with it. Okay? There's a part of what you recognize as a right to do something. But it doesn't really fall within the confines of the Constitution as it's written.
Yes, sir.
Right? Because I will tell you this, what I've learned in my 5 years as being sheriff and hearing complaints is people determine what is constitutional by what they see through their own lenses or their own glasses based upon their own biases and their own prejudices. That's what I see. It's not how the Constitution's written, right? Would you agree with that?
In part, there's, it's like the old saying goes, and Corey can relate to this. You put 10 lawyers in to interpret the particular provision of a constitution. These guys are on the board of making sure that our state laws and our citizens' rights are not only enforced but protected. And you get them 10 in that room, and you're going to have usually 10 different opinions on what you're talking about. What I'm saying, sir, is this goes just even a little bit further that has not been brought up in any of these discussions on a mask mandate, and that is, where the hell did the ADA provisions of protecting the rights of the citizens that may have a medical condition?
Okay.
Nobody's asked me about the HIPAA situation,
Nope.
and I'm not going there for myself personally, but which I could. But I'm saying, when my rights are infringed upon, and the citizens of Broadwater County and across the state in different jurisdictions are infringed upon by a body that adopts a policy that I ask specifically for a backing of law which does not exist, then I have the wholehearted constitutional right to question that. It's called regress of grievances, and it's an opportunity. When I'm refused that opportunity, that is a direct violation on my constitutional rights. Correct, sir?
Absolutely.
Okay,
So
so
here's-
I'm
here's-
trying to compromise
Sure,
here, but there is no compromise coming from the other side.
Okay.
How many people in this room right now, if we said, okay, we are moving forward in freedom and liberty, and how many people in here, if we said today, right now, we're going to rescind this mask mandate, and we're going to move forward and conduct the business of the county, how many people would say, right on,
But Tim,
let's do it?
Tim, there is no mask mandate. There's just a policy in the county
That's what
buildings.
I'm saying. They're
Okay.
calling it a mandate. They're telling me to get out of here because there's a policy. And I never seen it until this morning. Me too.
No, so you take a deep breath. And you're right, Tim. In regards to this, is something that's not brought up, and he has a very good point. One of the things that was in Governor Bullock's directive is if you had an underlying medical condition that prevented you from wearing a mask, you didn't have to wear one. And I think that that's something that's been overlooked. The goalpost has been changed numerous times. And it's very frustrating. This is why it's so unenforceable. Because the fact is a goalpost has changed time and time again. Every time we turn around, I mean, if we go back and listen to Fauci, January of 2020, when this all started, he said, go ahead and go on Tinder and Farmers Only and go have sex with people, right? It's okay. But now you got to wear 2 masks, you got to stand 12 feet apart and live in a bubble, right? Which one is it? And he's supposed to be an expert, and I completely disagree with that. But I also think that if we're going to have a policy, then we do have to have something that says, I don't necessarily write policy, Tim. Okay? I don't. Okay? Somebody writes it. I have a company that writes my policy based upon best practices for the nation. Okay? They go, do you agree or disagree? And MACO's the one that is paying for them to do that. Okay? But I think that in the aspect of what you're saying, and I think that that's something that's probably been left unsaid, is the fact is that we need to have that ability, if somebody has an underlying medical condition, we don't need to ask them, but we need to be able to compromise with them and let them partake. Okay? And I think that that's something that's just been overlooked, and I think Tim makes a good point on that. So how do we come to a happy medium here? Because I don't have... I work for people. I work for all the people. So
I understood, sir, and thank you for having ask me to take a breath, and it is very frustrating, not only on your part, but it is on our part as citizens as well. Last Wednesday, citizens that are business owners here in the county came into the body of that particular board and said, come on, please, we need to move forward with our lives. That said, I also wished for a compromise. And one of those compromises would be, and it's been stated just as good as foundational fact as any other part of this mask thing that's been going on, which is, if you choose to wear a mask for your safety, that is your personal right and your personal choice. You have that right. If you feel in danger, that mask and it makes you feel safe and protected, that is your total 100% right. I have never ever questioned anyone wearing a mask. And I can ask, have I ever said, what the hell are you doing wearing a mask? I have never, and I never will. That's your right. Equally, it's my right to choose, the freedom of choice to say, hey, I don't believe that A, number one, it's either A, healthy or not healthy, B, it's my right to, it's my body, it's my right. Okay, I'm not wanting to get out into them weeds because that can really get ugly and stupid. But what I'm saying, sir, is the bottom line, as we move forward, it's an individual right that has to be respected and honored. If we were to say, okay, if you want to wear a mask in our county buildings and to protect yourself, that is your choice and that is our policy. If you do not wish to wear a mask, it's like any other business that's in town. If you want to wear one, that's your choice. If you don't wish to wear one,
So-
we're going to respect your rights and we're going to respect your
Okay.
thing. Now,
So-
that's
so-
it.
so-
I'll leave it there.
So we can get to the bottom of this, and these folks can get back to their business of the day, okay? Because I'm sure that's why they came here this morning, was to do that. First off, you're right, okay? It is a choice. But I want to make this clear, is there's two places in the county that they have policies that require a mask for entrance. Actually, there's three. The hospitals, right? The clinic and Broadwater Health.
Private.
It is private. The school, okay? Because why?
Different laws.
Okay, different laws. And they also want to be able to keep the doors open because we find it beneficial for our children to be attending class in person versus remotely.
Amen.
Okay? Next one's the county courthouse. Okay? Now, I've said this time and time again. Okay? Is that if the people that work in county government cannot do the job that we've put them in the job to do, then how do things get done? Tell me that. How do the people that work there, one, get paid? How do you pay your plates? This is the debacle that went on for months. I can't get my vehicle registered. Well, I'm sorry, the treasurer's office closed. Why? Because they had COVID. Okay? So when that can't happen, these guys make a decision. Right? What's best to keep the doors open and moving. Okay? Everybody else in the county, there's no mask mandate anywhere else, as far as I know. Okay?
As far as we know.
Okay. So what is the major problem about having a mask policy? What's the underlying issue? Because it's not countywide, it's county, this building, that building.
Right.
So what's the major malfunction with that?
As a person.
Gina?
Lack of ample amount of oxygen. I don't need to sit there and argue with somebody who has a mask on that you need to dictate to me how I am going to breathe, and especially if I'm asthmatic.
Okay. Then again, I think the policy needs to be revamped to include folks with an underlying medical condition.
So here's
Okay?
an answer that I would like to maybe suggest to the commission and to you, Sheriff. And that's to resolve this and to move forward in the best interest of doing business in the county. Number one, the process leading into that policy right there is been so very vague and so very unpublicized, if you will. I'm not saying it's been a violation of the publication laws, because I don't even know where that really came from when it first come up. I try to follow. Again, another example is today's agenda
I haven't looked at it.
was never even issued until I got a copy from our county attorney Friday night. This is what I'm talking about. If
So
we're going to adopt policies,
So Tim,
if we're going to adopt policies, let's have a due process, public process for that policy to be heard. On the 22nd, if you look at the minutes that are being approved, I'm going to assume today, they will be approved.
well, if we can get to it.
Then we are going to have that opportunity to see that there was 3 commissioners involved in that process. Nobody else knew about it. I asked for the policy and the foundation of law last week, and I still haven't seen, until this morning, even a copy of the policy. So that's what I'm saying, due process.
Corey, would you like to jump in?
Yeah, at some point, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to address a few things here. Do you want to do it now or wait?
Do you want to let this? You want to
Yes,
jump
go
up?
ahead.
Yeah, I would
Up,
really
up
like
to the mic, please. And
State-
state your name.
Hi, my name is Patricia Rickard, and I'm actually from Lewis and Clark County, but I got invited by Gina Satterfield. And I wanted to address, because I do have a medical condition where I cannot wear a mask, and I will not, because, I have done the testing. It brings my levels, in dangerous levels up, but you're saying it's only a building, sir? I can't get medical, I can't get dental, I can't get vision, I can't go into, a building and get my license plates. I can't even go inside and vote. So you're saying that it's only a building, it's
But you're-
only a
you're
mask.
You're referring
No.
to Lewis and Clark County.
Okay, but
That's not here. So I appreciate that. you're
But
talking
you
about
just
Broadwater.
said, well, I am talking about Broadwater. Now, you stated yourself that, well, you can't go into that building unless you wear a mask. Okay, that infringes on rights. Okay, that's
Where?
the beginning.
Where in the Constitution? Because you guys keep talking about it, so pull out the
Oh,
Constitution
okay,
that
so
shows-
it's okay that I can't get medical, dental,
Okay,
vision,
you-
proper
you-
care, or send my children
You were
to...
bringing up a constitutional thing. So please, one of the three of you, pull out the Constitution that says that it's against the constitutional right of a citizen to be required
What
to wear
about
a mask.
disability rights?
Okay, that's not in the Constitution, that's the Disabilities Act, set by the federal government.
Right,
So
and
figure out
those-
which way
those-
you want to go here.
Okay, well, let's
Okay.
go with the disability rights because I am
Can we
disabled.
get back to the mask, please?
It is about the mask, sir.
Okay, but address the chair, that's as far as we're going. If you have more to say, you can say it, but I don't want you two in an argument here about the Constitution, because we're not gonna settle that today.
Okay, it is infringing on the disability rights. Not being able to wear a mask, not being able to get proper care. That's disability rights, okay? And what about disabled children? Okay, they can't get education unless they wear a mask.
That is not within our realm, that's the school boards.
That's a school district.
That's not accurate. Can I address them?
Yes.
So first of all,
It doesn't matter.
when the governor lifted the statewide mandate, he did so with very little notice. The commission couldn't instantly turn around and figure out what to do with it because we had almost no notice when it was being lifted and being changed. So the commission adopted a policy simply saying for this building or for that building, okay? We addressed it also last week with the Board of Health. The Board of Health did not adopt a statewide or a countywide mask mandate. It said, school board, control your facilities and your activities as far as a mask. City, you're authorized to do the same. County, you're authorized to do the same. Okay? So that's what it is. It's been a fast-moving train. I guarantee no one here is, if someone's got a medical condition, no one's going to throw you out on your ear. But that's not what's going on here. Let's not pretend. First of all, you're from Lewis and Clark County. Why in the world are you coming down here and yelling at our county commission and how they do their business? I've never seen you before.
I was not yelling,
Okay,
and how
well,
dare you speak to me like
Fine,
that?
protesting. But I'm sitting here like, wow, I've never seen this lady before. I've never seen you until last week when you were mad about the mandate. So it's not like you're coming regularly doing business.
Moved here.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I don't really have to explain anything.
You don't have to, but here's what I'm getting
Ma'am, he
at.
has the chair, and I
Here's what I'm
appreciate
getting
you to
at.
be quiet otherwise.
So we're governed by Robert's Rules of Order according to this commission, okay? So look at section 58 and look at section 61 of Robert Rules of Order. So, protection from annoyance by non-members in a meeting, removal of an offender from the hall. It's a long section. Guests or non-members are allowed in a meeting, and they can participate and provide public comment on issues as we do under Constitution. However, if their purpose is specifically to annoy and to prevent the conduct of business, the chairman at any point can ask they be removed and can summon the sergeant of arms to do so. Okay? That's clearly what's going on here. We're 45 minutes into our meeting, we haven't got anything done. I'm across the street working on a Supreme Court brief on a case I've been working on for 3 years, and I'm like, holy cow, things are going weird over there. I better run over across the street. Under Title VII, which is what local government is, Title VII is Montana Code, the county commission has the authority to exercise control over their proceedings. They also have, under law, the authority to subpoena a member of the sheriff's office to be present at every one of their meetings in order to keep order. That's who the designated sergeant at arms is under the law. So is this enforceable? Yeah. Does the sheriff really want to spend every Monday morning at these meetings doing what? I mean, this is such a waste of time debate. Rather than maybe out there running his office. I mean, Friday night we had, that's a rhetorical question. I'm not looking for an answer. Friday night we have one officer on duty. Highway patrol catches someone, ends up in this. he runs off. They end up finding him in the neighborhood. He's an absconder. He's a fugitive from justice. That's the kind of thing that when you have one officer on, you want them to be able to do. Not come here and argue with people about whether to wear a piece of cloth on their face. Under Title 50, under Title 7, this commission has the authority to ask you to wear a mask. If you have a health condition, they'll make an exception. But that's how it is. You want to challenge that? Go ahead. Please sue us. I'm confident that the court will uphold that because that's a reasonable, the word here is reasonable, request and restriction for public health purposes. Okay? Fine. You don't agree with it? I'm not an infectious disease specialist. Neither are they, neither are you, neither is the court. But they're going to look at what the preponderance of the public or the scientific opinion is. They're going to uphold this commission's authority to ask you to wear a mask when you come into this building unless you have a valid exception. It's that simple. Tim, I've asked you, we've had this conversation many times. You're here as a reporter. I've talked to a lot of reporters. When they walk in the room and they're there to record the news, to report the news, they're not there to make the news. And I keep asking you, are you here to make the news as a protest or are you here to report the news? So it's up to you, however you guys run your media entity to do that, but it seems a little bit odd to me. Okay? We would like to get on with business. You two ladies, you're welcome, but you're not welcome to come here solely for the purpose of disrupting the proceeding. If you're upset about Lewis and Clark County, go complain to the Lewis and Clark County Commission. These commissioners can't do anything about Lewis and Clark County Commission. It's time to move on. You have the authority, Chairman. If they are not going to wear a mask and they don't have a valid, sounds like two of them do, so stay. You can ask them to leave. Or you can say, maybe he does, fine. Why didn't you say that at the beginning rather than walk in and dare someone to spit in your face? I mean, that's what's going on here. This is not about you have a valid medical condition and you came here to exercise it. Let's not pretend. Let's not insult each other by pretending that's what this is. What this is you came in to make a point, to be mad. You've never been here before on any issue that I've ever seen, any that's happened before this commission, except for this. So that's fine. You're making a protest. You have a right to protest. At some point, we got to get on with business. That's all I have.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, Tim Ravendall. Again, I respectfully understand what you're saying with whether I'm wearing my personal hat as a citizen or whether I'm here journalism. And you can conclude, if you wish, that I am manufacturing news if you want. I disagree with that wholeheartedly. But what I would like to just point here, and then I will either I will go sit down and remain silent, or I will ask the sheriff what he wants. If he wants me to just pick my stuff up and take whatever action I need necessary out in front of the commission here, I will try to do my best to move forward here, because I do agree. We need to take care of the county's business. We need to take care of the people, and we can't just keep going forward. So respectfully, and I said this at the board meeting of the health board last week, respectfully, I request this board, as elected officials, to take a real close look at how we got to this point at this stage, and I respectfully request to back this bus up, to provide the right opportunity for the citizens to give the input. And I'm not talking about this lady here that come from Lewis and Clark County. I'm talking about the citizens of Broadwater County and the fact that we are here to have that absolute constitutional right under Article 2, Sections 8 and 9. We also have the constitutional right to, if you want to go down into the weeds, if you will, the constitutional right for a healthy environment. We can go both ways on that, right? Is it healthy for someone that has a health problem to be forced into compromising their health environment by wearing a mask? That would be a question. I'm not wanting to go to court here, and neither are you. It would be certainly an administrative process that we could back the bus up and readopt a policy process where we, the people, have a seat at the table. This has all been done from across the state. I've watched it at more counties than I can even count, where the people have been pushed outside of that process. And I would hope that our county commissioners will take that into advisement as a citizen and as a person that's trying to help people to stay informed. With that said, I thank you for your time, and if you want me to leave, I would like to maybe just at very minimum, make a comment on your agenda item before I leave, and then I will be out of here, if that's what we need to do.
I would like you to stay, Tim. I just would rather we don't have to fight about this every Monday morning. Here, you can have this. It's allowed public comment.
Okay. Public comment.
Yes, go ahead, Ellen.
Use the mic, please.
Yeah. So Claire Reading says, is the county attorney there? Wasn't he supposed to come up with a law for the mandate or the county resolution of it? Thank you, Mr. Ravendall. And Gina, kudos. Says,
Hey, we're not reading popularity
Okay.
issues. We're reading comments.
Let's see. Where's it gonna jump down to here? It's mostly Claire Reading. Joe Drake says during last week's health board, Tim was asked to leave the building because of the mask mandate policy. His right to participate was impeded. Claire Reading, Montana Constitution, Part 2, Section 8 and 9 are being violated. Is the policy online? If so, please share the link. Comments will be, okay. What about violating the Americans with Disabilities Act? Let's see. Yeah, it's pretty much the same thing about the
Thank you.
Constitution. You're welcome.
So Tim, if you have one comment on the agenda, we'll go with that.
A little later in your meeting today, you are going to be approving and/or adopting the bylaws of the Broadwater County Health Board. And on that particular item on your agenda, there are several areas of that particular process. Again, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, but the process leading into you adopting this really is a item of special interest to the citizens of Broadwater County, because this is going to be the template, this is going to be the guidelines for the Broadwater Health Board coming into the future, regardless of whether we have a pandemic or not. And so what I would really like to make a quick point on is a couple of points within those bylaws that are very concerning to me as a citizen of Broadwater County, and that is under Article 1, the general powers and duties of the Broadwater County Health. Revisions and amendments are covered in the new bylaws that are going to be adopted today under Article 8. And in Article 8 of your bylaws, I guess I can say yours, but they're the Health Board's bylaws. Article 8 says the active affirmative vote of the majority of the members of the board present at a meeting at which a quorum is present shall be the act of the board, except that a vote of not less than 4/5 of all board members shall be required to amend and or add to these bylaws. So my question on that point, Commissioners, is let's back the bus up once again. This is an item for the Broadwater County Board of Health, for them to be adopting and advertising the public participation in these bylaws as prescribed by the open meeting laws. And as we look at this, it's really hard to get on every list to stay totally informed within the county, but I got to say personally, I did never ever see until this agenda and these bylaws that are going to be adopted and discussed today were ever advertised particularly in that aspect of an agenda that described we are going to be adopting bylaws, using just common terminology that the people understand. It was never said. If we move down further into this particular thing, this kind of comes back into the constitutional aspect of this. Under C of Article 1, the board will hear and act upon grievances. Was there ever a hearing to adopt or to move in the resolution forward? Not to my knowledge. The right for the people to to be concerned about anything on this was really kind of, in my assessment, has been kind of left off the part. The next part that's troubling for me as a citizen is the purpose of Montana's public health system is to provide leadership. Now, I see that a lot of this, if not most all of it, was copied and pasted from the Montana law, okay? So when we get in here, I could say, well, we are not here today to discuss the constitutionality or the legality of a Montana law, particular aspect, but your duty to the citizens of Broadwater County, not necessarily yours, but the Board of Health. That's where we got a confusion here this morning. This is on your agenda when it's actually a Board of Health decision. I understand the commission gives final approval to bylaws, so here we are with that little bit of a confusion. But let's go down into D and A, promoting conditions. That's not defined. And that would be in the interest of this commission for the people to define what that is. Under B, it says there's 10 essential public health services. Can I use layman's language and say, what the hell are the 10 essential? What is essential? Define essential for the people of Broadwater County. It's not in here. You cannot even only just throw the dart in the air and hope it sticks. Collaboration between public and private sector partners. We see so much overspending of our government taxpayer dollars between public and private and the whole process. It's really problematic, which ties into the other part of your agenda, which is bringing in more grant funding. I'm not going to get into that today. We'll just move forward real quick as best I can. Accomplish public health system goals. In these bylaws, what are the goals? I don't see them per se. I don't know what the goal is. Is it short term? Is it long term? Is it in the benefit of protecting government and its position? Is it in the interest of the citizens? I don't know because it's not defined. This went back to the Fossey thing. Scientific evidence being used. Public health powers are used to balance on available scientific methods. We got to be careful we don't go down that rabbit trail every time this comes up. You know, it was said once in an earlier commission meeting, we cannot continue doing the same thing expecting a different outcome. We have to move forward. And we have to move forward in the best interest of all the citizens in Broadwater County. I've been accused of being the only one here, and you guys are representing the rest of the citizens. That's not true. This is a very, very county-wide issue. Needs to be really taken seriously by all citizens, and be given that opportunity. The next part, again, goes into your next part, which is going into the aspect of the grant application that's being forwarded to today's agenda. This talks about in item F under Article 1 of your bylaws, it talks about reimbursement from general funds. Let me ask you this. We've had a debacle of what the heck are we doing paying taxes into the hospital district fund, and we have general funds, and we don't have any idea where any of this money is really going or what it's going to be used for. Certainly, the hospital district is to provide a health service in its own right, but it's kind of like not even mentioned in any of this as far as where this funding comes from or where it's going to go. Excuse me. The election of officers according to Article 8 of the bylaws, again, this is all part of a different board than this body. I mean, and we never really did know where this really started because it hasn't been, unless I'll tell you I'm living in a cocoon someplace, which I didn't think I was. I have not seen the notifications or anything here. It also says about minutes. There's supposed to be a minute book in this. And where is the minute book kept? Is it the same one as the county commissioners? Is it updated regularly? Does it have, there's so many questions with this that I would love to be able to hear and have that discussion, but the secretary, we've had that discussion over the last year and a half. We need to have somebody to accurately keep the records and keep them books in order, and so that the people know where to go. It's very important. It's part of the constitutional right to know. We need to be able to know. So many times I've come into this meeting and have no idea what's going on. because none of this information is available at the meeting, yet I'm told that I can go to the courthouse and get a copy. Well, by the time I go to the courthouse and come back with a copy of what's now being discussed, which was not clear in the agenda, your agenda item is done and passed. Again, I already hit this on notice of meetings. Where is our designated place of notice of meetings? It was once backed up that we used to have it at the school, library, and we used to have it at the post office. Then somebody was accusing somebody of stealing the notices and that it was just a waste of time. And then somebody was also saying that it was just a waste of time and that if there would be a posting, if there was a change. But what about the people that are not on the Zoom? What about the people that are not on able to get to the courthouse between 8 and 5? What about the people that can't get into that courthouse for whatever reason? How do you know what's going on with our local government? That is really troublesome for me, and it has been, which is why I have been on this front line for a long time. I want to correct that. I don't want to just come up here and go, I want to come up here and say, let's figure out a better way to do this so that we don't have to keep coming back meeting after meeting after meeting and saying, here we are again. I don't like that no more than you do. I'd rather have a process like what we have with the legislature. We can go in there and everybody's got respect and everybody does what they have to do. And they get the job done. Minutes, where are they kept? In the fiscal year budget, this kind of comes back to my concern about the hospital district funding that comes into this county and is paid for by the taxpayers, which is actually part of the health, I can't think of the right word, but the health department, okay? In your bylaws, it says it's standard July 1st to June 30th fiscal year. But it references under Title 50, 2-109, incorporating by reference Title 7-6, Part 23. Now if you look at Part 7, Chapter 6, Part 23, there's a couple of sections reserved and the rest has been repealed. Can you tell me, as a citizen, what are you referencing? A law that's been repealed or has an open book in case there is a law written, but what are we talking about? Clarification for myself and fellow citizens is what I'm after on that. And with that, again, as I'm guessing this is the final copy, but there is no signatures on this particular copy that I have. So I'm assuming it's just a draft. It might be a draft, but it may not be. If it isn't a draft, if it's the final copy just needing to be approved by this body as the process goes, then I understand that, and I'm sorry I missed another step in the process. But the bottom line is I would just really appreciate you folks to take a really close look at this to make sure that we don't miss that opportunity. Again, going back to the other part on your agenda, I'm not going to belate this. Request for granting to go into respite care. I mean, it's pretty extensive, and I don't want to get into there. Personal and fringe benefits. Everything that we're talking about here is more funding to pay for the health services here in the county. Above, if nothing else, beyond what we have in not only statute, but is funded by not only the Montana Department of Health and Human Services, but is also funded by the federal side of things. Here we are, we're looking at adding more funding, growing more government. At what point do we find out where and how many hours a day are we paying for a process? Understand, if we ever did get emergency, if it was declared here in Broadwater County and that was an essential process, then I would understand. But right now, again, it's so gray. Where is this money really being going to in necessity? The last time I've said this, and I'll say it one more time and then I'm done. I got the memo. The federal government is broke. Our budget process is really stressed here in Montana from the state level down to the local government level, and we need to tighten the belt up and be conscious of that. Thank you.
With that, if you want me to leave, I will step up.
Could I answer a couple of
Yes.
his things, because I would like to go back to what I was doing before. So the main point of that amendment is to deal with the membership. Under Montana law, I think it's 52-108, the membership for the Board of Health is it can be either 3 commissioners plus 2 other people, or it can be 5 people appointed by the
I've
commissioners.
seen that's open, yes.
So what happened was, there was a desire by the commission to get more citizens on the board that were not the commissioners. Under Montana law, that's totally their prerogative, and they were moving in that direction. You got to update the bylaws, because the bylaws were more restrictive than the statute. That was the purpose of what they were trying to accomplish. So the board voted on that last week, and only 4 members voted, right? Because under the bylaws,
4/5.
was that 5th person supposed to be Daryl Folkford, or was it supposed to be Robbie Sandberg? So the 5th person didn't vote, so that there wasn't a question, and Robbie was gone. But we didn't want a question of that 5th person wasn't a legit vote. So the 4 people that voted under either option under the bylaws were legit, and they voted for
Absolutely.
So that was the main purpose of it.
Okay.
Having said that, there's a lot of changes that are happening in the legislature right now. My expectation is after the session that the board's going to have to look at reopening a lot of amendments on those bylaws, because I think they're going to have to update to deal with statute. I think I noticed the same thing about the referencing to Title 623, whatever it was, or 7623, and that's an old draft of a bylaw. We inherited it, right? And then when that law was repealed, however long ago, the bylaws weren't updated. So my guess is there's going to be a fairly extensive revision of the bylaws after the legislative session this year. And I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities to participate. I think the intention had been to update the bylaws last year with some different things. And due to, I don't know why, it didn't happen. But I know there was a period of time when you were gone. So I don't know if some things, updates happened then. The other thing I would say is, I think Helen keeps the minutes for the Board of Health. So they are a separate set of minutes from the County Commission. And then, I agree with you, our budgets, we're headed for a crash in America because of our debt. But I don't know how to fix that.
Mr. Chair, may I respond just in closing? I know you've taken way more time on this than that you anticipated. I apologize. That is another aspect. Thank you, Mr. County Attorney. The aspect of us adopting a new bylaw right now under the provisions that we have under not only Title 50 law, under Title 7, we're good to go with that. But in common sense reality, with the things, for example, I mentioned, House Bill 121 and House Bill 504 are both being heard in the full House today, okay, at 1 o'clock. Those are going to have an impact on these bylaws, whether if they pass, okay? If they don't pass, they probably would not be even worth being considered because they're so outnumbered, and we just got to wait for that wheel to finish turning, all right? Okay, in this particular case, Commissioners, what we have is, for example, House Bill 121 passed with a supermajority of the House on its second reading, a supermajority. So it's on its track of going where the people of not only Broadwater County, but the state of Montana have asked the representatives in the legislative branch to go. So it's going there. 504 is now up for a second reading today, and it is under the same track. Those two bills, and there's several others out there that have not only already been heard and been moving forward, but I use those two as an example. They are a direct impact on these bylaws and how this Broadwater County Health Department operates in the coming days. And what is wrong with taking a pause? We've already paused for over a year, like Mr. Swanson said. This was brought up to do bylaws before. All of the boards in the Broadwater County have been, if you will, delinquent on the fact that not been adopted properly, and we're fast-tracked to get back in order. And God bless the process has made that happen. We have most boards now in order for the public process as prescribed by law. The health board now, having the authority that it has, and it has usurped over the health department and the health of the citizens of the county, I really, again, one more time, will urge you to put the pause on jumping forward with adopting spending, adopting a new bylaw, which is setting into at least an annual, without having to come back and recreate the wheel, let's say in 30 days when laws out of the legislature turn everything that you're doing today upside down. We're not going to miss the opportunity. It's going to be there. I just recommend and ask you specifically to take pause and pay attention to what we have in front of us coming. It's the training, or is it the light in the tunnel? I don't care which way you want to look at it, but
Can I just to be clear, the only change that I think we're looking at is the membership. And the impact is this. If they don't adopt this, then the fifth member becomes Commissioner Folkford. Or if they adopt this, then the fifth member is Robbie, who owns a business here. He has to deal with all the issues of COVID regulations on small businesses.
Right.
He's in the National Guard, and he is a trained expert on these health issues in the National Guard. And I think
Right.
they all felt it would make a lot more sense to have another citizen on the board than to have another commissioner on the board. That's what they're trying to
totally
accomplish.
agree. Totally agree. And again,
The
I
rest
just
of that, you're right. When this is all legislature's done, we're going to have to look at how the landscape's changed.
in reference to that, I guess I would just ask, because again, I have not seen anything on the health board bylaws from previous. Do we have anything to compare to with what else has changed?
These bylaws were all reviewed in October and approved, but then the COVID hit the courthouse and we got shut down.
Okay.
So they
The new
never,
ones.
they never got taken care of. That's why we're trying to take care of, that's why we took care of them last week at the Board of Health.
Gotcha.
We'll take care of this week.
Okay.
The other thing was we were supposed to have Board of Health training, but then along came COVID, everything got shut down. So we haven't been able to have our Board of Health in a full body trained. And we didn't have to, we never got back to the bylaws because they were addressed in October, and then we had a 2-month break where we never had a meeting.
So, thank you, Mr. Chair, and for clarification, so under Title 50, I think it's 216, the bylaw requirement, which is, again, posting part of the law as part of the bylaws, is there on file an earlier version of the health board bylaws? Or is there never been
Yes,
one?
there is.
Because again, we don't have one to compare to see what's changed from there. That's why I asked the question.
Okay,
Thank you.
Can I be excused?
yes. Okay, so we'll go back to our agenda. That's the Peaceful Hilltop subsequent minor subdivision.
Are we gonna continue our meeting?
Yes.
What are we doing?
Without mask, or
What's that?
are we going to continue the meeting considering some people are not wearing masks?
Well, I don't know, people that don't have masks are either gonna have to put a mask on or leave. You're welcome to leave your equipment if you want, Tim.
Well, nobody's in here to speak, I guess. What am I covering on that aspect?
No respect for anybody that has health issues.
With due respect.
If you have a health issue, you're welcome to stay, but you need to make that known to us.
We've never been told that you had a health issue.
I shouldn't have to tell you, if I walk in here and if you don't have a mask on, you're not really supposed to ask. You're not supposed to ask.
We can't ask you. We can't ask you if you have a health issue.
So I'm telling you,
Because of the
and
HIPAA
you're never gonna
regulations,
see
we
me
can't
with a
ask
mask
you.
on.
If you have a health issue, do you have a health issue? I mean, tell us.
So therefore,
I mean, we're relying on your faith to tell us if you have a health issue.
okay,
That's all we're asking.
I guess I should be able to come in here if I want to, whenever I want to. And not have to be so welcomed.
I have a health issue, but I'm not going to get into it because it's not worth getting into that at this stage. I'm just going to go ahead and thank you for your time this morning. As a citizen of Broadwater County, asking you to take pause and think about where we're at and then we take care of business and take care of the rights of the citizens. Thank you for your time. I guess I'll leave my camp. No, I'm not. Thank you. It'll take me just a minute. Recess if you'd like, if you need. It's just taking a minute to get out of here.
Mr. Chair, if I can have just a minute. I don't know if it comes from you guys. The policy was set forth by the Board of Health, is that right? For the mass, or was it from the commission? When you guys meet, I would, and I just talked with Corey, there has to be some clarification in regards to people with underlying health conditions.
Sure.
And I know, and we all know that Tim has an underlying health condition. We have friends and family that have underlying health conditions that shouldn't wear masks either. So it needs to be clarified. And I know in certain aspects, what we're trying to get ahead of it is what it sounds like. We try to get a policy out there to get ahead of the problem, but we created a problem, okay? Because it's the policy. If we go and we look at Governor Bullock's directive that sent out in March or April of 2020, it was 4 or 5 pages long.
Have a good day.
Thank you, Tim. It was 4 or 5 pages long. Governor Gianforte, his directive is 12 pages long. It's full of administrative rules. It's full of state law. It's very clearly defined on what is and what can't be. And no offense to anybody, but a 1-paragraph policy is not cutting the mustard. I'll be honest with you. Okay, that doesn't clarify everything. And as you can see, I think that we need to be well defined in what we expect from people and what there is. And if we do create a policy, it needs to be put out to the public so they understand. Policies are dealt with employees. We don't, as citizens of this state and citizens of this county, we do not have a policy and procedure manual that we operate by. Only employees have policy and procedure manuals. So we have to be careful on what we ask of the citizens in regards to how we do business. And I would ask that the Board of Health in their next meeting, I'm sure it's coming up shortly, is that be addressed and clarified so we actually have some common ground that doesn't pose problems. So, and that, I think Corey was going to chat with you about it as well. So, any questions of me? Okay, thank you.
Does the board wish to carry on, or do we cancel the meeting?
Mr. Chairman, if the people here without mask are sincere that they have a underlying health condition, I am fine. I don't think anybody was ever been opposed to that.
Okay.
And I will trust that they are people of their word.
Okay, so we'll carry on with the meeting.
Teresa Munson, Public Health. I believe that there's a lot of people with health conditions, but for the people who choose to wear a mask, I believe that the people who don't choose to wear a mask come in, state their piece, and leave for the sake of those of us that don't want to get the disease. It's online. You can go out and jump on and hear everything that's going on, but by allowing the people in, pretty soon you're going to have a room full of people with no masks that say, I have a health condition. I can't say whether they do or don't, but I believe that it's putting the rest of us in jeopardy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Teresa.
Okay. Peaceful Hilltop subsequent minor subdivision request for preliminary plat approval.
Good morning, Commissioners. Each of you should be in receipt of the findings of fact and order report for the Peaceful Hilltop minor subsequent minor subdivision. In the interest of time, I can either read this document in its entirety, or I can give you a summary as well as the conditions of approval. This document was read into the record and is available through YouTube from the planning board meeting. It's also available on our county website. So I will await your instruction on how to proceed.
I'd be okay with a summary.
Okay. Each of you also should have the submittal documentation. If you turn to tab number 4, there is a preliminary plat in your file there that you may wish to reference. So this is the, again, the Peaceful Hilltop Subsequent Minor Subdivision. The applicant is Dave Gerling. He actually lives currently on this parcel. He's looking to split this parcel, currently 53.16 acres, into 2 parcels. So there will be 1 additional home site added. The home sites will be served by individual wells and wastewater treatment systems. The access is a subdivision road, actually 2 subdivision roads, Prospect Hill Road via Vista Drive, which Vista Drive accesses directly onto Price Road, which is a county road in southern Broadwater County. An environmental assessment was provided. Since this is a subsequent minor subdivision, it's included in your preliminary plat application. As far as access, the 60-foot easement for Prospect Hill Road ends at the southernmost point of this development, ends in a cul-de-sac there, so there will be a driveway easement following along the southeasterly boundary of Tract 7A to access Tract 7B. Tract 7A will come directly off of that cul-de-sac, so no new or additional roads are being constructed.
Okay. I was kind of wondering how they were going to provide that access. Okay.
Does that answer that?
Yes.
Yep.
That
Sure does.
okay, perfect. Moving on to the order. It is hereby ordered that preliminary plat for Peaceful Hilltop Subsequent Minor Subdivision is approved subject to the conditions listed below. Final plat approval shall be contingent upon completion and compliance with these conditions. Number 1, plans for sewage treatment and water supply shall be submitted to the Montana Department of Environmental Quality for review and approval. The certificate of approval shall be filed with the final plat. Number 2, prior to any development and/or soil disturbance, a weed management plan for the proposed development shall be submitted to the County Weed District for review and approval. Number 3, the applicant will be required to submit the final plat drawings in electronic format to Broadwater County in ArcGIS, AutoCAD, or MicroStation format. Additional materials may be requested by the county in electronic format to facilitate review of application materials. Number 4, the applicant and the Fire Protection Authority having jurisdiction, the FPHJ, shall use their best efforts to draft a fire protection plan specifically for this subdivision in accordance with Broadwater County subdivision regulations. The plan shall be equally acceptable to the FPHJ, the applicant, and the county governing authority. The plan shall adequately address the fire risk analysis, all findings of fact, and appropriate mitigation measures. In the event the parties are unable to come to an agreement by the time of final plat submittal, the applicant shall become eligible to provide the per lot cash in lieu fee for water supply as may be defined in the Broadwater County subdivision regulations at the time of submittal. Number 5, the applicant shall contribute 2/50ths of the cost to upgrade the existing road, Prospect Hill Road, to Broadwater County subdivision road standards for a number 1 local road. It shall be required that they obtain a current estimate. Number 6, the final plat should be prepared in accordance with applicable state survey requirements, Montana Subdivision and Platting Act survey requirements, and the county subdivision regulations. Number 7, the book and page reference to the restrictive covenant filed with the county clerk and recorder shall be indicated on the face of the final plat. In addition, restrictive covenants, revocable or alterable only with the consent of the Board of County Commissioners, shall be placed upon the property and shall provide for the following. Subitem A, per the subdivision application, both lots shall be used for residential purposes only. B, notification of the potential health risk from radon concentrations, and that such risk could be evaluated through soil tests and mitigated through radon abatement techniques incorporated into structures. C, a notification that all dwelling units within the subdivision should be constructed to specifications which meet or exceed equivalent provisions in the applicable state building code for this seismic zone, which is Zone 3. D, any additional replacement or relocated utility lines shall be installed underground, in accordance with county subdivision regulations, unless otherwise determined by the utility provided. E, any exterior lighting shall be directed downward to minimize visibility beyond the property lines. F, a waiver of the right to protest to join a special district for the purpose of providing community water and/or wastewater treatment system improvements and/or maintenance. G, a restrictive covenant binding the landowner, any heirs, successors, and assigns, and all future owners of property within the subdivision, agreeing therein to hold Broadwater County harmless and indemnify Broadwater County from all claims, demands, obligations, suits, causes of action, damages, and liability, including the county's costs and attorney's fees arising in any manner whatsoever out of or relating to the existence, use, operation, repair, and or maintenance of the following. Sub-item 1, earthquake fault zone and any seismic activity, and number 2, water availability. H, all cats and dogs must be restrained, penned, or otherwise under the control of their owner at all times. I, notification of the presence of agricultural operations in the vicinity. J, each lot shall be maintained in a clean, attractive, and weed-free manner. Noxious weeds must be pulled, sprayed, or cut prior to seed maturity. K, a waiver of right to protest joining a rural improvement or maintenance district for the purpose of road maintenance, mosquito control, or equitably funding parks and maintenance of parks. L, address numbers shall be clearly marked at the driveway entrance to each lot and be easily identified from the road. M, a notification that lots in this subdivision may be subject to impact fees if in place prior to lot sales. Number 8, prior to filing the final plat, the applicant shall A, provide proof that all taxes and special assessments assessed and levied on the property are paid for the current tax year, including any past delinquencies, and B, provide documentation, an abstract of title or platting certificate, showing that the applicant is the lawful owner of the property with the apparent authority to subdivide the same, showing the names of lien holders or claimants of record and the written consent to the subdivision by the owners of the land, if other than the applicant, and any lien holders or claimants of record against the land. The applicant is financially responsible for actual outside engineering, consulting, professional, and/or contracted service fees, etc., at the sole discretion of the county for additional review and/or final plat approval of the proposed subdivision. Preliminary plat approval of Peaceful Hilltop subsequent minor subdivision shall be enforced for 3 calendar years. At the end of this period, the governing body may, at the request of the subdivider, extend its approval for a mutually agreed upon period of time. Any mutually agreed upon extension must be in writing and dated and signed by the members of the governing body and the subdivider or subdivider's agent. The governing body may issue more than one extension. A party as defined by 763625 MCA who is aggrieved by a decision of the governing body may, within 30 days after this decision, appeal to the Broadwater County District Court. At this point, I would like to make a comment. It is outside of my time or purview to add a condition, as well as the planning board's recommendation has been moved on. So I would like you to consider, condition number, I should have referenced that first, condition number 5, where it states the applicant shall contribute 2/50 of the cost to upgrade the existing road, Prospect Hill Road, to Broadwater County subdivision road standards for a number 1 local road. It shall be required that they obtain a current estimate. I would like to include Vista Drive in that statement. Vista Drive is also a subdivision road that provides access to this development. But that would have to be a motion by this board to add it. And if you have questions, the developer's representative is here to answer specific questions.
So did the, did the planning board, were they aware that Vista Avenue, Vista Road was going to be added to this?
It is, and has been a part of the preliminary plat, but not as a condition of approval. That was not brought to my attention until just this morning. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
And if I may go further, that has been our past practice on subdivision developments. If they're utilizing a publicly, how would I say that, a privately maintained public road, as in a subdivision road. Not necessarily on a county road. But, and this is guidance coming from Mako Land Use Attorney, that they pay their proportionate share of upgrades for the subdivision roads.
Any other comment or questions?
No.
If not, we'll entertain a motion to approve the application for the preliminary plat for Peaceful Hilltop subsequent minor subdivision.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make the motion to approve Peaceful Hilltop subsequent minor subdivision for preliminary plat approval with the added language to include Vista Drive and its proportional share as a condition, number 5.
Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion?
I have just a quick statement. Would it be satisfactory to the commissioners if I make that a separate condition? I think it might be easier and make it a little more smooth at the end for final plat approval if Vista is a separate condition, but is identical to condition number 5.
Sure.
With the substitution of the word Vista
So
Drive.
just be an additional condition.
That's correct.
That makes sense.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'll amend my motion to make Vista Drive proportional share as a separate condition of approval.
Is there a second to the amendment?
I will second the amendment.
A motion's been made to amend the previous motion to include that as a condition of improvement. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we still vote on the, we still have to have a vote on the amended motion. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same. Motion carries.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you.
Let's see, approval of health board laws.
Well, we had a pretty good discussion on that already. I think in order for us to continue doing our business that we need to do today, that we should still approve these bylaws. We know that there are a lot of legislative bills being proposed that will probably change this document, but we can't wait around with the thought that these new legislative issues may or may not be approved. We have to.
And I agree. I think that we have to have something we actually can function underneath until such changes will have to take place.
Yep.
So is there a motion to approve?
I will move to approve the submitted bylaws to the Board of Health for Broadwater County.
That will second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the Broadwater County Board of Health bylaws as presented by the Board of Health and addressed in the October or November meeting and also addressed in the February 23rd meeting. There's the 24th. This is the 24th.
24th.
24th. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same. Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, I guess we do have these minutes that we probably should approve.
Those minutes?
Yeah,
Okay.
February
For the commission.
16th and February 22nd.
Okay, do we need to approve those before we approve this?
Um,
Well, we have to do those in mail.
Yeah, we have to
So
do
we'll
those.
take care of those at the end. So this is I do have a signed copy. Where did they go to? I did have a signed copy. So that's the Board of Health signed copy there. Okay, the next item, Teresa Munson, RN, discussion and signed letter of intent to apply for project grants.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
So I'm here to talk about the homemaker respite and skilled nursing programs. Every year we do a presentation in May, right around April and May, to talk about our programs with Rocky Mountain Development Council. So these are three programs that are run by state and federal grants. Every year we have to apply for these grants. These grants have been going on in Broadwater County for years and years. And the purpose of these grants is to help the elderly stay in their homes.
Hold on a minute, Teresa, please. Okay, what's the beeping? Because it's really affecting my hearing aids.
Mine too.
It's affected by breathing.
Well, I'm
I got
sorry.
a CO2 detector right here,
Okay, well,
right here.
is there a way
What's
to,
it reading?
is it a way to turn off the beeping portion of it? Please? Just,
My point is,
that's all I'm
know what your
asking,
point
because
is.
I can't hear what Teresa's presenting. That's all I'm asking. Thank you.
So the purpose and goal of these grants is to help our elderly people in their homes so that they can stay in their homes without having to go to assisted living or nursing homes. Primarily, they just need a little bit of help with homemaking chores and, that type of thing. Like I said, these grants have been going on forever and ever. I've worked here for 5 years, and I know they were going on way before my time. So we get money from both state and federal through Rocky Mountain Development Council. And two of the grants do require a match from the county. They are very small matches, so I'll give you those exact numbers. What we applied for, one grant is $882 match, and the other one is $350 match. And I believe that money comes out of the county health nurse general fund. We have had an explosion of homemaker applications recently. And so we are going to ask for more money this year from the state. So if that happens, we may have a little bit bigger match, but one thing I want to point out, because right now public health is under such scrutiny, is that, are we going to tighten our belts and not give our elderly people what they need in our community? I don't think that we should do that. The state is giving us $15,000, and that is a grant that we do not have to do any deliverables on. We have to do monthly reporting. We have to keep good records. They're all on file at public health, but they are protected by HIPAA. So this is nothing new. We ask the commission every year for these matches so we can help our elderly. And right now, they need more help than ever because of COVID. They are afraid to go out of their homes. So we do shopping for them and stuff like that. So right now, they need our help more than ever. And I think that's why we're seeing such an increase in our applications. Diane will make this presentation over in Three Forks. They have a meeting usually the end of April, I believe. This is due March 19th to
to the state, so.
How long has this program been in place? For quite a while, right, Teresa?
Oh, yeah, long time. I know, even when I was doing home health and hospice, I had patients that I was taking care of that were also on this program, and that was 15 years ago.
Right.
So, and I've been at public health for 5, so it's been going on a long time.
It's nothing new to Broadwater County, right?
Nothing new. No. And I just might point out again, I know I've said this before, but Broadwater County Health Department is one of the only health departments that is not run on a mill levy. So we are not, the citizens are not paying taxes to run public health. So we try to do as many grants, state and federal grants as we can to eliminate having to do a mill levy for public health. So, and we've been successful at that so far.
Do we need to have a vote on each one, or do we just vote all 3 of them at once?
Yeah, they're just all 3 in one.
Okay.
Yep. The homemaker program actually doesn't have a match. It's the respite program and the skilled nursing program. Skilled nursing is 15% and respite is 25%, but we don't have that many people on skilled nursing and respite. Primarily is homemaker. I think right now we have 1 person on respite and 1 person on a waiting list because we don't have the staff. And skilled nursing, I think we have 6 or 7 people. Some are intermittent, some are weekly. So they're the people that just don't qualify for that Medicare benefit because they don't have all of the things they need for Medicare to pay for it, but yet they still need some type of skilled nursing in order for them to stay well. So.
So is there a motion to approve the project grant?
So all 3 of these are included under the Title III of the Older Americans Act, is that correct?
Yes.
That's how that,
That's correct.
okay. You see them, Dan?
Yeah, I think that's fine. Thank you. I would make a motion to approve and sign the project grant Title III of the Older American Act for Broadwater County Health Department.
Is there a second?
I will second.
Any comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries.
Thank you, Teresa.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Mike Myers, generator and security grant recommendations.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
So, after reading through all the bids and going over them with Mike, the Commissioner, and a few other people, on the generator grant, I recommend BSC. They met all the requirements for the excavation. TWE for the generator. And that's everything on the generator grant. And then on the security grant, I recommend they met all the requirements. Cooney locks for the access doors.
Who was that again?
Cooney locks.
Cooney Lock.
frontline glass for the replacement security windows for clerk and courts and clerk and recording. And the cameras for verdicts on the security grant. I went through them and called them, I had a lot of questions for them, and they met all the requirements and the requirements that we need.
And Cooney's going to provide the cameras, right? Is that right?
No, Burdick's is doing the cameras. Cooney's is the locks.
Locks.
And who's the window?
Frontline.
Oh.
They were the only ones who bid on it anyways.
Mike, can I get a copy of those?
Yes.
Are there startup days and deadlines on these?
Deadline is October 1st.
Okay.
When do you think you'll start this project?
Well, I'd wait for the ground to unthaw for the generator, because the first step is excavation. On the security grant, as soon as they have openings, so probably within 30 days, somebody will start either the doors or the cameras.
Okay.
And it also looks like we're going to have a little money left over on our security grant I'm trying to get approval from DES, MTDES to upgrade the whole detention center.
Okay.
The cameras in the detention center?
Yeah, all the cameras in the detention center. I'll do some cabling myself just so we can save the county some money, and hopefully we come within the budget, or if not, it'll be barely over the grant. Because everything in the detention center is outdated.
Is there a motion to approve the recommendations for the Homeland Security grant and the generator grant?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I'll make the motion to approve BSE and TWE for the generator grant, Cooney Lock for the locks, Frontline Glass for the glass, and Verdicts for the cameras for the courthouse security.
Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Motion been made and seconded to approve generator security grant and recommendations. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same. Motion carries. Okay, we got some mail. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Got some mail here. Commission meetings from February 16th. Is there a motion to approve?
I'm sorry, Mike, what was that date again?
February 16th.
I move to accept the minutes for the February 16th commission meeting.
Is there a second?
No second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Commissioner meetings from February 22nd, 2021.
I'll make a motion to approve February 22nd commission minutes.
Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Motion been made and seconded to approve minutes for February 22nd, 2021. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same. Motion carries. We have claims in the amount of $50,011.46.
I'll make a motion to approve claims in the amount of $50,011.46.
I'll second the motion.
Motion been made and second to approve claims in set amount. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Have a receipt of payment from Family Medical Clinic from Doc Campbell's building. A letter from the Department of the Interior acknowledging the receipt of a letter from Broadwater County for the development, management, and operation and maintenance of the silos to renegotiate the contract on Canyon Ferry Recreation Area. Vigilante Elective Cooperative invite to a 83rd annual meeting, Friday, March 5th, 2021 at 11 a.m. at the Watson Training Center. Substitution Recovery Program from Spirit in Livingston. Let's see, a document scanning estimate for the clerk of court. Guess we'll have to go through that and see what we want to do with that. Scan documents of the clerk of court, much like we're doing the courthouse records. Okay, if there's nothing else, this concludes our agenda. Seeing nothing else, we will adjourn.
Wait,
Yes.
because I won't be here, your FLAP grant, what's FLAP?
FLAP grant
Well, yeah.
Federal Lands Access Program, so,
concerning the Silos
Thank
Road.
you.
yeah.
Yes. Yep. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
It's Gina Satterfield. Everything I've said today was in my opinion and research. During the time I put the mask on, I did what the CDC would say for someone who has health issues going out. Okay, the meter, the meter that I was under my mask was 8,296 parts per million. At 5,000 may cause serious cerebral injury, coma, and even death when exposing an air. The reading in the room was around 800. That's a typical value, well, that's a little over. It's a living environment with poor ventilation. Like I said, when the door opens, it changes. So, by just sitting here, I'm just trying to prove a point. The tighter your mask is, the worse your health is going to be. So I had a mask, double cotton, tightly woven, and then a surgical mask under that. I'm going to give you these readings. I want you to think about that every time you have someone have a mask on, including yourself. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, we will adjourn at 11:50. And did you already have a copy of this signed or not?
Yeah, this is the original.